Hello everyone, welcome back to Scented Moments channel. I'm Jolima, I hope you're all doing well, and today I will do a side-by-side comparison of two fragrances. One is designer and the other one is niche. So the designer fragrance is Pure Havane by Thierry Mugler and the other one is Naxos by Xerjoff. So on my video when I recorded my 5 fragrances that I used to hate or did not like and now I love, I asked you if you wanted me to do a side-by-side comparison of these two fragrances, and I got very good feedback in that regard, especially from a very good subscriber, Bella. Shoutouts to you, my good friend. So these two fragrances, they are often compared to each other, and the majority tend to prefer Naxos because of the quality, because, well, it's niche, it's more expensive, of course the quality is here, so that's why people tend to prefer Naxos rather than Pure Havane. But let's compare them. So Pure Havane was my first Mugler fragrance. It was love at first sniff. It was when I was starting to discover the perfume world back in 2016. I always had my fragrances, my 3-4 fragrances to rotate in, but this one was a game changer in 2016. I already had La Nuit de l'Homme, I already had Mont Blanc Individual, but it was Pure Havane who changed everything. The minute I sprayed this on my skin, it was magic. It's hard to describe to you, and as you can see I already wore this a lot. This was my go-to fragrance back in 2016 and 2017. This fragrance, how it smells like? Well, this in a nutshell, it's a sweet cherry tobacco scent, or a lot of people describe this as that, but to be more detailed, this opens very similar to Pure Malt. Actually, this opens with a boozy impression, with a boozy feel. Although there's no boozy in here listed, but in the opening it's quite prominent, or at least I really get this boozy feel in the opening. But quickly you have this cherry accord, or this sweet cherry accord, and as it starts to develop, you start to get the sweet honey tobacco. It's delicious, it's very sweet, and it's loud. And then you have the patchouli. The patchouli here is also quite prominent, more in the dry down. And then you have this Amen DNA. So you have things going on here. It's not just a sweet cherry tobacco scent. No, you have things going on here. It's quite complex in my opinion. It's very sweet, it's loud. It's not sticky sweet, not overly sweet like 1 Million or Ultramal by Jean-Paul Gaultier, but nonetheless it's still quite sweet. The tobacco here is quite prominent with the honey, the patchouli. It's to die for. Naxos, beautiful presentation, of course, like all Xerjoff bottles. Naxos, well, because I already had this one, I never gave the proper attention to Naxos. For me, Naxos was just a copy of Pure Havane. And because I think back then I was very influenced by many people saying that Naxos was just a clone of Pure Havane because this came first, so Naxos was not worth having. Although you also had other people saying that this one was better, way better than Pure Havane. But for me, when I first tried this one, it was the beginning of this year, didn't impress me that much because I instantly got the Pure Havane DNA. So I was like, for a niche fragrance, I want more. I want more creativity, I want more depth, more complexity, so this did not impress me at all, especially when it reminds me a lot of a designer fragrance. But a couple months ago, I gave this another shot, and as soon as I sprayed on my skin, magic happened, like it happened in here. Because this one has lavender in the opening, and quickly you have this realistic honey note. And I never gave the attention to this note. The honey here, it's outstanding, so realistic. It's sweet but not overly sweet, it's refined. This fragrance is refined. So you have the honey and you have the vanilla and tobacco slash cinnamon. I think the tobacco and cinnamon here are in the same league. So this fragrance develops like this. You have a blast of a fresh lavender, but you already start to see the sweetness in the background. And then the lavender will fade away quickly and you get this sweet honey, vanilla, tobacco and cinnamon. This fragrance, when compared to Pure Havane, yes, they have similarities because of the honey tobacco, the sweet honey tobacco, but that's it. They aren't that similar in that regard. Other than that, this is quite linear when compared to Pure Havane, for example. This is more linear. Not saying it's bad, but it's linear because all you get, it's honey. I think the honey here, it's the most prominent note in my opinion, and then followed by the vanilla and the tobacco. Here the tobacco, it's more prominent in Pure Havane actually. And again, you have more complexity, you have more things going on here, more notes going on. You can detect note as it develops. And here you have the lavender, which is quite uplifting, quite invigorating, and then you have the sweetness of the honey, vanilla and tobacco. So that's why for me this is more linear and this one it's not. About the sweetness, this is more loud. This is definitely louder than Naxos. Is it synthetic? I mean, I think it's harsh. I think it's harsh to say that just because it's a designer, oh, it's more synthetic. I mean, come on, this one has synthetics as well. All fragrances have synthetics, or at least almost all of them. So I think it's not fair to describe this as a more synthetic version of Naxos. No, I think this one is a more elegant, I think this, for me at least, in my opinion, it's the most accurate way to describe Naxos. This one, it's much more elegant, it's more refined, it's more classy, and this one, it's more loud. Pure Havane, it's louder. I think it's more to a night out, it's meant to be worn in a night out situation when you want to stand up in a crowd, while this one, it's more reserved, but is there. And for example, I will give you an example. I wore Naxos last weekend. It was a birthday party of a friend of mine, and I wore Naxos. It was a night out situation, of course, and I wore Naxos. And my friends, especially my girlfriends, they already know that I'm very into fragrances. And they were very curious to see and to smell what fragrance I was wearing back then. They smelled on my neck and they were like, well, one of them said,
I already smelled better fragrances on you.
And the other one said,
well, it's sweet, it's okay, but it's an okay fragrance.
So as you can see, and with this one, I already got fantastic reactions, way better reactions. So this to say that these two fragrances serve their own purpose. This one, it's louder, meant to be worn in a night out situation when you want to impress other people more and when you want to stand up in a crowd. This one, it's when you are feeling classy, when you want to feel more elegant and you just want to be on your own lane, and if people want to come to you, they will smell you and they will compliment you. This is Naxos, and Pure Havane, it's louder. So for me, in conclusion, both are worth having in my opinion. If you don't want to spend much money and if you want just to smell good, if you love tobacco fragrances, just go with Pure Havane. You will be just fine with Pure Havane, that's it. It's cheaper. A 100ml bottle size like this will run you for 50 euros, while Naxos, a 100ml bottle size like this is 200 euros. So just go with Pure Havane if you just want a nice, sweet tobacco, very appealing fragrance. Go with Pure Havane, will be just fine. If you want a more refined version and if you want to spend a bit more money, of course, Naxos is the way to go. But in conclusion, guys, both are fantastic, both are worth having in my opinion, are different, they serve their own purpose, and I love both. I'm a tobacco lover and I love both fragrances. So guys, tell me in the comments down below which one of these do you prefer. You have both? Do you have just one? You don't have any and you want to purchase one of these or both? Well, tell me everything in the comments down below. Hope you enjoyed this video and see you in the next one. Take care, guys. Ciao.